Welcome to the Stringjoy Show. I am Ryan. A couple weeks ago, I had the pleasure of talking with CeCe Mullins, a truly accidental guitar Instagram influencer with 40,000 followers. Now, I gotta be honest with you, I was having one of those Murphy's Law kind of days where everything was going wrong and I was in a terrible mood. CeCe Mullins took care of that in about 3.5 minutes. This is a really good conversation. Check it out. So we are here today with CeCe Mullins, and if you are watching this and you don't know who CeCe Mullins is, I'm about to tell you. CeCe Mullins is a dude who started playing guitar on his lunch break, right? And putting it up on Instagram, and and now you're a thing.
Yeah, I had no idea this would happen.
Yeah, I really like it when someone just does a thing, like going out on their lunch break and sitting in the back of their truck and playing guitar, and I like when they would do that. You would do that no matter what. That's just what you do on your lunch break. And it's just and people are like, hey, that's cool. Those are the best things. I like those things better than things that are tried to be, created and made into things. You were just doing your thing. And so what was it? Did you quit smoking and you need to do something on your break when you weren't smoking? How'd you end up doing this?
Oh man, I don't know. I just a long time ago on Instagram, I posted a few videos from my living room, and I got 28 views. And
Right.
I didn't think much about it, and I was like, okay, that's how that goes. And one day at work, I was just like, hey, I'll post a video of me sitting in the back of my car at work. I think I had 700 followers. And next thing you know, I was getting all these views, 1,000 views. And I thought that was just oh my God, what the hell's going on here? It just kept going. And I'm just like, oh man, I got all these kids sending me messages and asking me what kind of strings do you use? What kind of picks do you use? And I'm
yeah,
trying to ask everybody. And then they're just getting more and more people. And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. Is this really happening?
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do for a day gig that you're taking a break from? It's body shop, right?
Yeah. I don't really do. I clean the cars when they're finished and take all the trash out. I'm
sure.
the grunt of the shop, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, how cool is it? I'm sure, is it something that can make a crappy day? You're having a really crappy day at work and you go out, you take your break, you rip some riffs and you get, and then have a bunch of 20-year-old kids be like, you're awesome. And then you go back to work and you're like, what?
Yeah. One of them just happened to walk up on me when I was playing one day, and he's like, man, I thought you were listening to something in your car or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw your guitar head sticking out. Yeah.
What do you use to amplify in the?
A little Black Star Fly 3 with the extension cabinet. I had a little Dan Electro, one of those honeytone amps at first, for the 2 or 3 videos, and that's when I started seeing people watching. I was like, I need to get something better, So I started looking around online, and that one had good reviews. It's great amp.
Yeah. Are you playing in bands right now around town?
No, I used to have a little blues band, and we played all the little biker bars and honky tonks around here for probably 2010 to 2018 or so, 19.
Yeah, it just kind of ran its course.
Yeah, the drummer disappeared.
That's always the case.
Yeah, my bass players show up a couple of practices, and we're like, "Where's he at?" And send messages, and he just poof.
Here's a message to drummers around the world. If you could only be as responsible as we guitar players, there might be more bands around. I'm just saying. Drummers always seem to get really responsible when it's time to get paid. That's about it. I'm kidding for anyone out here who's a drummer. What's your favorite guitar that you own right now? What's the one that you're reaching for? The one that's this is my baby.
That regular one that you usually see in most of the videos, I call her Queenie.
Yeah. Well, pull it out. I want to see it again. Do you have it right next to you? Yeah. So tell us about Queenie.
Well, it's a 93 made in Japan 62 Stratocaster.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's got the
With,
7.5.
with the
Or
photos.
does it have, look at that. Does it have the 7.25 radius on it? Like, is it legit?
No, I think it might be about a 10 or so.
Okay. So it's a more modern radius on it. So
When Fender was moving their warehouse to Mexico back in
mhm.
the 90s, they sent all the stuff over to Japan to be put together while they were moving, and
Yep.
those.
Yeah. And it plays like a dream. I mean, other than beat the crap out of it, which you have clearly done. Oh man, you got the cigarette burn on the headstock. Damn, that's the coolest. I wish I still smoked so I could just do. I'm considering picking up smoking just to put those on my headstocks. Look at that! Look at that finish. What did you do to that finish, man? Did you leave that thing in your car?
Yeah, I just chuck it in the back. Like on the cold days, on the cold days, I'll put it in the front seat so when the sun comes over the shop,
Yeah.
warm it up before I get to lunch.
Man, like if you could start a side business just relicking other people's guitars while you do other stuff. Just like be like, oh yeah, this one's a Mullins relic. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
If I wired it up, I
you
redid
wired
the
it.
car.
Did you swap the pickups? Did you put in like 50s wiring? Did you do anything? What did you put it for pickups in there?
I wired it. I got a Mojo Tone 59 clones, and I wired it up with all their stuff. I got the pots and the capacitor and everything from those guys. They're here in North Carolina, like I am. Those are some of the best sounding pickups I've ever heard. They didn't just like recreate a 59 pickup. They actually somehow weakened the magnet so it's actually like it came from 59.
So it's like warts and all 59.
Like loses a little bit of the magnetism, and for some reason I tried them out. Oh my god, these are perfect.
Right. I mean, like, I was talking with Josh Spataro from Right to Sound about vintage pickups, and we were talking specifically about the PAF, and we were kind of going, like everybody has this romantic idea of a PAF, but we're not sure, like if you actually played a PAF, in 2023, we're not sure if you'd actually like one because it's an old pickup, it's old tech and stuff like that. But if you do want to get that sound, I mean, you gotta put up with weak magnets and all that kind of stuff that everybody had to put up with in the 50s and 60s, like. But that's how you like the that's where the mojo comes from, if you ask me, like from when you got to work. Yeah, when you got to work a little bit harder, like that's where mojo comes from. Who are your top five? Who are your top five guitarists that have influenced the way you play and the way you think about music?
Well, probably first it was Chuck Berry. My dad listened to Chuck Berry, and I was a little kid, and if he was on TV or something, and I just saw him, doing the duck walk and everything, and I was like, whoa,
Yep.
who's this guy? I think he's the one that made me want to pick up a guitar and bother my parents till they got me one. And
Yeah.
then I got into Hendrix. When I was in school, everybody's, hey, check this out. They knew I played guitar, and everybody's pushing me tapes. Hey, listen to this. I got into Hendrix, which opened me up to all these other blues guys, and I'm like, wow. And next, it'd probably be Albert Collins. Like, I love Albert Collins.
Yeah. I mean,
I play a Strat.
yeah, exactly. No, I mean, Collins is one of those guys who's just so, like, I feel like he's so underrated in, like, as far as like in the blues world. Everybody in the blues world knows that Albert Collins is like the greatest thing ever. But if you get outside the blues world, they're like BB King, and it's kind of like, yeah, well, I mean, BB King's good, but
I think I
you
opened
know,
a lot of kids' ears up to Albert on my page. I
yeah,
like mentioning him, and like some kids have sent me messages like, "Wow, thanks for telling me about Albert Collins." And that to me was like,
right.
Oh, and what's funny, I found out about Albert Collins was I started out when I was 8 years old, playing like piano and stuff like that. I got my first guitar when I was about 12, and
Mhm.
I found out Albert Collins started out on organ, and
There you
he
go.
had his organ stolen after a gig one night, and like he decided to pick up guitar
Is
and
that true? Is that
yeah,
right? Really?
he
That's
started out
wild.
on organ, and he actually tried for a long time to make it, and then it just what playing on the road wasn't paying the bills, and he ended up mixing paint in an auto body shop. Ain't that weird? And then after that, he got seen by I think it was Can Heat, and they brought him out to California, and after that, he started blowing up. I'm like, wow, I work in an auto body shop. I don't really mix paint.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, let's hope that happens more than once.
Yeah, and it was about the same age I am now. He won't play in nowhere, and his wife told him he needed to get back on the road because she knew he wasn't happy.
Really?
Yeah, he was
Wow.
mixing paint.
That is I that's an amazing piece of music history. I mean, like you think about I was just talking to Jesse from 29 Pedals about Little Richard recording all of his records in a laundromat, and it's still to this day a laundromat.
Yeah. Something about the sound in there, I guess.
Yeah, man, it's so weird. Oh yeah, so we started with Chuck Berry. A lot of people started with Chuck Berry, moved on to Jimi Hendrix. A lot of people had their minds blown by Jimi Hendrix. Albert Collins. What we got for the last two? Who the other two guitar players that have really kind of spoke to you?
It'd probably be Buddy Guy.
Yeah,
Well, I love Buddy Guy. He's taught me a whole lot as a teacher, and whether he knows it or not. and,
yeah,
and probably Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah,
sure.
what's funny is everybody says I sound like Stevie, and I didn't even know about Stevie until somebody like told me. Like
How
I
was
was
that in the
I was
was that
stuck
in the
in
80s?
I was stuck in Hendrix land learning all that stuff when I was younger, and somebody's like, everybody, more than one person at a gig in a band I was in at the time, were like, man, you sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I'm like, who? Stevie Ray Vaughan, you don't know who that is? And I'm like, no, I was too busy digging in all the blues guys and stuff. And then when I listened and I heard it, I think the first time I heard him was on the radio when they played Little Wing, and it was Stevie. And I was like, wait, this ain't Jimmy. I was like, who is this? And then afterwards, the DJ will tell you, that was Stevie Ray Vaughan. I was like, oh, that's who, and I started listening to him, and I was like, wow, I guess they're right.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they're right.
Yeah, I never thought I'd sound like Stevie. It's not that I'm really trying to, I just play.
You guys stole from the same people. Do you find that doing this, like playing on Instagram, has forced you to improve and forced you to learn new things and forced you to because you have an audience now. It's not just you playing for yourself.
Yeah, I've never really been satisfied. I've never gotten to a point where I'm like, well, this is it. It's all I can play. I've never been like that. And this actually gave me the shot in the arm because, believe it or not, before I started bringing my guitar to work, I was at a point where I almost kind of given up. Like I played gigs and guitar for so long, and then having to work and things in the personal life were hitting me, and I'd sit here and look over at my guitar and couldn't figure out why I didn't want to pick it up. I'd sit here and like cry and look at it like, where's it at? Where's that spark that made me want to pick it up? And like, ever since starting this on Instagram, and then when it blew up, it's almost like, that's why I tell everybody on the videos, I love you guys. Because they're the ones who that lit the fire back up.
Yeah, man. I think that is just like unbelievable because I think, when you're younger, it's really easy to find time to do lots of stuff, but play guitar. And when you're younger, you don't have as much responsibilities and stuff. Like even in your 20s, like you're paying rent, you're not, you don't own a house, and you you have no expenses, you have no family, you have no whatever. Then as you get older, it gets harder and harder to find people to get together with. You know, when you're in your 20s, you know, like everybody's just fine with getting in a van and driving across the country and sleeping on somebody's floor, you know, like, but not when you get older. And so it's really hard to find. I find it's really hard to find motivation to keep going as we get older. And you know, like for as terrible as things like Instagram are for our brains, like they I mean, you have found a reason to start playing guitar again, and like that to me is all the reason in the world to do anything, you know? Like
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. It's gave me the shot in the arm I needed. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should talk about the fact that you play Stringjoy strings. What gauge are you playing at right now?
11, 14, 18, 28, 38, 58.
Oh. What are you doing with that really heavy E? What are you doing with that?
I fret with my thumb, super, super big alien thumbs.
Yeah.
And
you got I mean, that's the Hendrix thing too. Like, you know.
like when I was trying different strings over the years, and I'd go to fret and I use my thumb, over top of the neck. Like,
you do have big thumbs. Holy cow.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
It would bend that low E sharp because of my grip. So like I kept going up, and then I started using the Ernie Ball 7-string set, the power slinkies, and just tossing the 48 and that 58. When I grabbed it to do a chord, it wouldn't go sharp.
The fact that like I don't pull sharp when I hit it is like the
I needed to be able
so
to grab it,
I love it,
and it's not out of tune. I just wanted it to work.
Yeah, man. Ah, man, I love it. That's awesome. And what's next for CC Mullins in 2023, man? We got a fresh year. What are we gonna do with it?
Oh, I don't know. I'll keep making my videos and everything, and just see what happens, I guess. Yeah.
Well,
folks following me that like with the blue check and everything, and check those out.
Yeah.
One guy, I think he's the Sony worldwide marketing president for Sony Music, like started following me and liked a couple of my videos. One guy he was the stunt double Tucker in Rush Hour 3. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
That is weird.
Yeah, he's in movies and stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Yeah, or a reporter for CBS Morning plays a purple Strat, Vladimir Duthiers. I hope I pronounced his name right. Yeah. He followed watching my videos, and I'm like, wow, next thing you know, I'll be on this mornings or something.
Yeah, man, that'd be wild. That would be wild. So, man, it has been it's been inspiring talking to you. I gotta say, I mean, just like just someone who's really passionate about music and passionate about guitar and passionate about just being a positive person in this world. Like like you're doing it. Like this is it, man. So I thank you for spending some time talking to me, because I feel like I want to go take on the rest of the world now. I
figured life's hard enough, everybody's got their own epic battle they're fighting, I just want to make people feel,
man, that's awesome. Well, it's CC, man. I thank you again for spending time with us, and we'll check in real soon with you as well.